Thailand's parliament will be convening on the 4th of August as it tries again to pick the next prime minister. This according to a document outlining the House agenda. But the vote will depend on what happens at the Constitutional Court the day before. That judicial body will be assessing a petition on the 3rd of August linked to the renomination of Pita Limjaroenrat, leader of the election-winning Move Forward party, to run again in a vote to be Prime Minister. If that petition is rejected, a vote for Prime Minister can take place the next day. If it is accepted, there will be further delay of another around 1 week. The kingdom has yet to form a new government and elect a Prime Minister more than 2 months after its general election on the 14th of May. And Professor Duncan McCargill joins us live in the studio. He is Professor of Public Policy and Global Affairs at Nanyang Technological University. Welcome, Professor. Now, we'll start with that story. So August 4th is the earliest date, assuming the Constitutional Court decides or does not decide to let Mr. Pita Limjaroenrat run again for Prime Minister. Now, even if it does, all it does is it says you can be nominated again. But the hostility that Mr. Pita has met from the military government-dominated Senate, that has not gone away. If anything, it has become even more explicit since he lost his first vote 2 weeks ago. How would you rate Mr. Pita's chances of ever getting the vote to be Prime Minister?
Unfortunately, those chances are really rather low because, as you say, even assuming that the Constitutional Court decides that it's okay to renominate him, the same problem applies, which is that most members, the overwhelming majority of the Senate, are implacably opposed to his becoming Prime Minister, despite the support that he has in the lower house. So the net result is back to where we were a couple of weeks ago, and he still wouldn't be able to be Prime Minister.
So we then have to look beyond the Move Forward party as an actual party in government and look to other parties. Now, other developments that we have seen in, I suppose, over the weekend, the last weekend, Pheu Thai meeting on Saturday, Bum Chai Thai, UTN, Sunday, Pralang Pracharat. Those are key parties that they had said before they would never work with. But they are doing that now. We couple those meetings with Mr. Thaksin Shinawatra announcing that he will come back on the 10th of August, despite the openly announced fact that he might face jail time. If we take these bits of information and put them together, what picture are you seeing?
Obviously, what's going on in Thailand is extremely complicated and confusing, and it's changing by the day, if not by the hour. But, for example, when we see Pheu Thai holding meetings with the United Thai Nation Party, Röhm Thai Sang Chad, that's a party that's absolutely implacably opposed to the Shinawatra family, who essentially are the Pheu Thai party. Thaksin Shinawatra in exile for many years, primarily in Dubai, and then his sister Yingluck, who was Prime Minister between 2011 and 2014 and was ousted by the military coup in that year. The people who are in that party are very much the hardcore supporters of the PDRC movement, which shut down Bangkok in 2013 and 14 for over a period of months and created enormous pressures that led up to that military seizure of power. It's really astounding that those people, and I saw them in person when I went to their final rally on the Friday night before the election, those people who were absolutely dyed-in-the-wool anti-Thaksin, anti-Shinawatra people should have an apparently warm and friendly meeting with Pheu Thai. It suggests that something is brewing beneath the surface and that all is not exactly as it seems. And when you put that together with Thaksin's latest statement that he intends to return imminently to Thailand, this really looks as though something either has been agreed behind the scenes, or at the very least, there's a great deal of optimism on both sides of the political spectrum that some sort of deal can be agreed. And that would probably be a deal to exclude Move Forward from the government, despite the fact that they're the largest party in the parliament, and create a coalition made up of other parties whom we'd previously thought of as not exactly natural friends, to put it very politely.
And I think Pheu Thai has not actually hidden that intention. I mean, Seta Tawisin, who is one of Pheu Thai's 3 PM candidates, on the 20th of July openly, when a journalist asked him, will you stick with Move Forward party? He said, do the math.
Right.
What's the math here?
Well, the math here is pretty simple. If you move forward from this notional 8-party coalition that have been attempting, apparently, to form a government over the past couple of months, then Pheu just doesn't have the numbers to make a government that would be able to run the parliament without bringing in parties from the other side of the political spectrum. And there aren't too many of those parties. It's extremely difficult to avoid bringing in one or other of Pita Limjaroenrat or the aforementioned United Thai Nation Party, parties that are led by the so-called uncles, the two generals, General Pawit in the case of Pita Limjaroenrat, and has been led effectively by General Prayut, the current Prime Minister, in the case of United Thai Nation Party. So that's really a bringing together of what we thought of as the two opposing sides into one ruling coalition. It's a kind of an unthinkable crossing of the Rubicon, which many Thai voters probably didn't really anticipate happening when they were casting their ballots for Pheu
When you say unthinkable, it's because it's something you have mentioned before. It's unthinkable because we imagined, perhaps it was an illusion, that Pheu Thai and Move Forward were united ideologically, when in fact they never were. They were partners as a pragmatic alliance. I mean, I remember waiting to the end. Are they going to be, it was 8 days after the election results, that they agreed to actually be in an alliance very quickly. So we should never have made that assumption, that they were really allies in purpose and ideology.
I think this is the problem, yes, that most people viewing the election, whether it's people inside the country or outside the country, tend to believe that it was in some way a kind of rerun of the 2019 election. In the 2019 election, you could see much more clearly that there was an opposition bloc and a conservative bloc, that the conservative bloc were effectively perpetuating the legacy of the 2014 coup, and the opposition bloc were dedicated to trying to undermine that legacy and form an alternative government. But that distinction, if indeed it was a hard and fast distinction, but let's just say that it was in 2019, has really, really eroded over the past couple of years, because many of the people who are in, for example, Pita Limjaroenrat, used to be in Thaksin's parties before. There has been toing and froing between these parties. There isn't as much ideological difference between Pheu Thai and the conservative parties as people tend to assume. Now, it's complicated because there are some people in Pheu Thai who are rather progressive and have a very oppositional agenda, those aligned with the red shirt movement, the sort of grassroots mobilization front of Pheu Thai tend to be more in that camp. But there are other people in Pheu Thai who could frankly just as well be in any of the other parties.
All right, thank you for trying and succeeding, at least for me, making a very complex situation actually understandable. Thank you very much indeed, Professor Duncan McCargo, Professor of Public Policy and Global Affairs from NTU. Thank you.
Thank you.